Good morning, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo as well. House, and as always, I want to thank you guys for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. So let's get open for business and let's wake up those football gods here on Wake Up Guys. Oop, drop the remote. Wake up those football gods here on this Christmas Eve, and I hope all your Christmas dreams come true and that you get everything that you want and that everything will be good for you. You know, I absolutely positively love doing this, okay? If somebody had told me 10 years ago you'd be doing YouTube, that you would literally be doing videos for people to watch, I would have literally told you you were crazy. I used to stutter. I still, you guys know, I've got dyslexia, so it's hard for me. A lot of times I'll see words one way, they'll get translated in my brain and they come out another way. You know, I am not, as far as the King's English, very good. But somehow, some way, I'm here. And it's crazy. And I don't think it's because I'm gifted. I think it's because of the work that I put in. That if you keep doing something over and over and over again and never give up, you may become successful. It's not handed to you, but by all means, everything you see here has been the work of, I guess, about 5 years now of trying to put this together. And so I'm very proud of what I've accomplished thus far, but I know I've got a long ways to go, and I stay hungry. So this morning, like I do every morning, I go through and I check the wires and see what's going on, or sometimes I make up in the middle of the night because I'm old and you got to go to the bathroom, you know. So while you're there, you're sitting here doing research because it's an idea or a thought I'll come through, and I'll look for information to back it up. One thing I try not to do is, just come up with something off the top of my head and give you bullshit and, not have anything to back it up. Football is not like any other sport to predict. It's damn near impossible because you can look at somebody and say, that guy, man, he's got the perfect build. He's got the right pedigree. He's got the cannon arm. He looks like had success in college. He is the guy that you know is going to be the greatest quarterback in the history of football. And they turn out to be Ryan Leaf and the biggest bust. And then you look at a guy who looks like the ball boy is out there working out on the field. A guy who doesn't look anything like an NFL football player. And yet that guy goes on to win 6 Super Bowls and will be a future Hall of Famer in Tom Brady. That's how crazy football predicting is. See, I did it with one of those words there. So this morning I'm going through and I'm looking, the Bleacher Report and Yahoo Sports and ESPN and, everything. And I was looking on Facebook this morning and I came across my buddy, Philip Ebarb. Philip is Dak Prescott's uncle. He helped raise Dak Prescott. And this article he put in here from yesterday, that Dak Prescott is a finalist for the Texans award. And don't stop all you haters out there. Oh, see, he's not really a Cowboy. He's a Texan. He's up for award for the Texan. I knew he was. I know that's what some of you are going to do. No, this is for the whole state of Texas. This is an award that is given to the sportsman, finalist and Texan of the year. I think it's sportsman, maybe just Texan of the year. But this goes to Dak Prescott because of what he's done as far as helping, shedding light into depression and mental illness, after losing his mother in 2013 from cancer, losing his brother this year, going through the pandemic, and of course, us being shut down. This is something that 1 in 5 people deal with. 1 in 5. This is something that touches every family, but it's one of those things that people don't talk about. And for him being the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, him admitting that, hey, I've got a problem that I have to get help with, makes others feel like, oh, it's not just me, and will get help and will be better because of it. So you have to applaud that. But here's the thing but here's what happened as I was going through and doing some research and stuff on this. This is where you start with something, you scratch the surface and things. And I started thinking about DAK Prescott versus Carson Wentz. They're going to be forever linked, okay, because they were in the same draft along with Jared Goff, but not quite as much. I don't know why the Jared Goff analogy hasn't really been there, but I guess it's because Dak and Carson were in the same division. At least they are at the moment. We don't know if that's going to continue or not. But here's another little tad bit for this, because I'm thinking about why so many quarterbacks fail in the first round. Think about this. Think about this. I came across this article right here. This is in March 23rd of this year. Vincent Richardson. He went ahead and did a study. I'm not going to go through all the numbers and stuff, but it's a great read. But listen to this. More than 50% of the first round picks are bust. I want you to think about that now. I've always said, and I've never seen this article before, but I've always said this. This is where sometimes it's like, I know I'm an idiot, but sometimes things I say are actually pretty right. I always say that drafting is a crapshoot. I said it doesn't matter what round you're drafting in, you got a 50-50 chance of getting a great player or a bust. That's what I've always said. And you guys that have followed me for a long time, you know I've said that. And here it is. Take a look at it. 50% of first-round draft picks are bust. It's a crapshoot. So I always say the best way you can succeed in the NFL draft is by having more picks, a la New England. New England wins the Super Bowl, has 12 picks the next year. They understand, don't trade away picks. Don't get rid of that draft capital. You're better off with the picks than an aging guy that's going to be breaking down. Because when you get older, you get slower. You get more wear and tear on your body. You're in worse shape. You're more expensive. But that wasn't the original premise. The original premise that I had, this is going to be a little bit longer, but this is some knowledge that you can go through and you can start slapping people upside the head with, because this is my theory right here. When you have these quarterbacks or these first round picks, that have been the football icon from Little League, they have literally been bred and raised and thought and pampered that they are that guy, that they're great. They go to the best programs, they get the best coaches. You go to a college team, and when you go to one of these college teams that is a great college team, that's a perennial, number one or challenging for a national championship, the guys that are second and third strings could be starting at other schools. They're that great. They'll have 4, 5, 6 guys on a team that are drafted in the NFL. So what happens is, because your team has so much more talent than everybody else, it's easy. It's easy. You're as a quarterback, you got a great offensive line. You're not feeling any pressure. You got a great wide receiver. You got all day. You know he's going to beat that cornerback because he's, 0.3 of a second faster in the 40. It's easy. You're pampered. You go to the NFL, they tell you, you're the top guy. You're a first-round draft pick. You're great. Right? And then all of a sudden, they're around all these guys that have as much talent, if not more, than you do. The game speeds up. And all of a sudden, you have your Jamarcus Russells, your Vince Youngs, your Josh Rosens. These guys, all of a sudden, who were the big fish in a little pond, are now drowning in the NFL. And they fail. But it's amazing because when you get somebody like a Russell Wilson, who they looked at and said, if you need a backup quarterback, Russell Wilson might be good for a few games. That's what they said. He wasn't a number one draft pick. Tom Brady didn't even look like a. Go back and look at the combine workouts of Tom Brady, and look and tell me that guy's going to win 6 Super Bowls. It didn't. But here's what I'm going to tell you is because these guys like DAK Prescott didn't go to the football factory, didn't have all those great players around them, because maybe they didn't have that prototypical body and arm and everything else where they're the guy. They had to work their ass off. They had to be a tactician. They had to know the playbook ins and outs so they could find an advantage somewhere else. That physical talent of the team didn't carry them. And that's why you look at a DAK Prescott. That's why you look at a Russell Wilson. That's why you look at a Tony Romo. That's why you look at a Tom Brady. Guys that had to work their ass off to get there. And they appreciate it more. And they understood what it took to get there. And they worked that much harder to stay there. And herein lies, I think, the problem for Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, if it's true that he said that if I'm not going to be a starter next year, I want to go elsewhere. If that's true, it's because he's always been that guy that's been pampered, that guy that's always had everything right there for him, that you're told you're the best and it's just kind of given to you. I'm not saying that they don't work, but you don't work the same as you know that I'm just the backup. And if I get a chance, I've got one chance and one shot to make it. You don't work as hard, and you're not as hungry. So as I was going through and putting this together, this is where this whole thing evolved even more. And maybe I should have done this as a live stream because I talked about another thing. As we talk, people will say, you know, you got to trade up to get that franchise quarter. It got to be a first-round draft pick. Well, you know, here it is. 50% of them are bust. We wanted to get Paxton Lynch. Remember? We talked about, Paxton Lynch. He's got a better pedigree than DAK Prescott. We kind of, we need a backup quarterback for Tony Romo. We'll just take DAK. And it turns out DAK ended up being the guy. Here's another thing that's interesting. I talked about this before where I said the Eagles traded up to get Carson Wentz because they said, that's our guy. They traded 2 number ones, a seconds, and some thirds and stuff. They ended up with Cleveland to move up to get him, right? And this is a cause and effect. You may get that quarterback. They may be the guy, just kind of like the Giants got Eli Manning, got 2 Super Bowls out of it. That one worked. But more times than not, it doesn't work. And I pointed out because the Eagles traded all this stuff, and I've never been a guy that agrees in trading, make a whole lot of trades to move up because those are other players on your team. When you look at the Eagles, what they did was they believed in free agency. They kept signing guys that were older, like Deshaun Jackson and things. Deshaun Jackson, how many games has he played in 2 years? It's costing you about $9 million a year. It's going to cost them to let him go next year. And I think he's played 3 games. When you give up a second-round pick, you know, this year, next year, and the third year, those should be starters on your team. And as you look at the Eagles that are now in cap hell, that have a whole lot of holes because players are old and need to be replaced, they didn't have that draft capital to build the team. So I use that one as an example because that trade for Cleveland, you look at the Cleveland Browns right now and you say they have a lot of young talent. They're not in cap hell. They really benefited more from that trade than Eagles. Now, don't get me wrong. The Eagles did get a Super Bowl with Carson Wentz. But I'm not sure that it was solely because of Carson Wentz. I think that was a 4-play schedule, that was lightning in a bottle, and they had a great team that peaked at the right time. And if Carson Wentz was so special, why is it that a journeyman quarterback, Nick Foles, carried him the rest of the way? That he literally did not skip a beat from where Carson Wentz was. So I'll leave that one there. I'll leave that one there. But you can also look at another one that came through. I didn't even realize this one because as I was going through and reading another article about trying to get that franchise quarterback, I want to read this excerpt from it because this is another one of those examples. This often means NFL executives taking matters in their own hands and trading up for a top selection. We witnessed this fairly recently with the New York Jets trading the number 6 overall pick. Okay, so the Jets, just a couple years ago, traded the number 6 pick. My screen just, okay, no, sorry. Talked too long, the computer just went to sleep. I bored the computer to sleep. But anyway, let me get finished with this before it goes back to sleep. The New York Jets traded the 6th number all pick, 3 second-round picks, okay, and a 2019 second-round pick to Indianapolis for the 3rd overall pick. So I want you to think about this for 1 second here. The New York Jets traded the 6th pick to move up 3 spots, traded that pick 3 second-round picks in that draft, a second-round pick in the next draft to move up 3 spots. 4 number 2 picks in your number 1 to the Colts so they could get Sam Darnold. When you look at the Jets roster right now, you can look at it and say, did the Jets fail Sam Darnold, or is just Sam Darnold not the guy? I don't know. I know the Jets don't have a great track record with developing players, and when they do have ones that are good, they trade them. But when you look at the roster for the Jets, that is anemic. You don't think 4 second-round picks? That should be 4 starters, 4 quality starters on your team that they don't have. And now, I mean, we're talking 2 years, 4 second-round picks. That should be young guys that aren't costing you jack. You missed on the quarterback, and now you got to go through and spend money on another quarterback, which means that's another position you can't take care of. Had you gotten the right quarterback, hey, we're good, we're done. That high draft pick you have right now, maybe that's the offensive tackle to keep the guy upright. Maybe that's that edge rusher. Maybe that's that linebacker that when you got rid of Demario Davis. Maybe that's that safety that you gave away. You literally have just given away all of this talent that you should have had, reaching for a quarterback that's an unknown. And I'll give you a third one here too. When you look at the Tennessee Titans traded with the Rams for them to go up and get Jared Goff. The Rams are still a good team. They went to the Super Bowl. I'll give you that. But they have, again, another team that had to go through in free agency to fill a lot of the holes because they gave up so much draft capital that they have a roster that's costing a lot of money. They're close to being a cap heavy. They had to get rid of guys like Todd Gurley and things like that, although Todd Gurley was overpaid and his knee gave out on him. But you look at the position that they're in, reaching for that quarterback, and then you look at the Tennessee Titans that overall, because one of those picks that they got with Jared Goff, for the trade Jared Goff, yeah, that's Derrick Henry. But you look at about 6 guys on their roster that are starters on that team because of that trade. I say all this because so many people out there want to say, just let Dak walk. Just let him go. Draft another quarterback. We can get another one. We can get a quarterback. We can get a guy to replace him. He's a bum. Or we can sign a veteran quarterback. You got to understand what teams are doing trying to get that guy. And not only do you have that guy who is a quality quarterback, he's also a leader on the field and off the field, a guy who's actually had to earn everything that he's gotten. And what you have right there is a rare breed. That guy is special. And if you don't recognize it, then you really just don't understand much about football. And for the Dallas Cowboys, if they're in a position that one of these desperate-ass teams say, hey, one of those quarterbacks we want, is there, you trade with them. Because I'm going to tell you that teams that reach for that quarterback very rarely come out on the best side of that equation. It's usually the teams on the other side that get all those picks that end up being better off. At least that's my theory. And you feel free to tell me I'm wrong. Feel free to tell me I'm an idiot. But I'm telling you, trading up for a quarterback doesn't work very often. All right, I hope you guys have a great Christmas Eve. I've got some things I need to do. I need to go out and do a little shopping and things, get some last-minute gifts. And we'll be back in here. And we're doing a little bit of work here in the man cave, doing a few changes and stuff, trying to make it more functional. We only have 127 days for the draft, and when the draft comes around, I want to make it something special. I am coming after ESPN coverage when it comes to the draft. And so I'm going to stay hungry. I'm going to keep working, and I'm not going to take being here for granted. I'm Mark Holmes, and I'll see you soon.